Well, hello there, and welcome to episode 1 of the Go Send Global podcast. I'm your host, JP Ashworth, and we're here with Nathan Norman. And in today's podcast, we're basically going to talk about the birth of Go Send Global. So with that being said, we'll just turn it over to Nate and give us a little history and how things are going and plans for the future and all that for Go Send.
Yeah, so Go Send Global actually started as a nonprofit. It was an inner city ministry in Michigan that I did about 20 years ago. And it became dormant after a while because I started doing other things, but we kept it alive at the same time. And I remember during COVID, I was, right before COVID, actually, I was traveling a lot. I was going to different countries, kind of island hopping with my last employer for a nonprofit organization. I got to see so many needs every other weekend. I was gone somewhere doing conferences and retreats. And I would come home and I would become depressed because I would experience so many things on the mission field and see so many needs. And I saw amazing churches, amazing pastors, and met amazing people, but it seemed like there was never enough. You never could meet all of the needs. And it was one night during my quiet time, I just felt the Lord say, "Nathan, what's in your hand?" And I was reminded of a Bible verse where Moses is getting ready to be prepared to free the Israelites. And God told him, "Moses, what's in your hand?" And he had a staff. And I didn't have a staff. But what I did have in my back pocket was a nonprofit. And I felt like God say, "Why don't you use that nonprofit for good? Do something with it." So I began to think, what could we do to start meeting needs of people around the world? And I knew I couldn't do it. There's nothing in me that I could do to meet all the needs that I saw from Africa to Central America, South America, even here in the USA. There's nothing I could do. But then I started thinking about the people that I'd met and the heart and the passion that they had. And I thought if I could empower them in a different way, maybe they could be launched into deeper ministry than they're already doing. So that's how Go Send Global was birthed, with this thought that I'm going to invest in locals and we're going to let them lead the way in missions. So we're calling them our local missionaries. Right now we have 5 local missionaries. We have missionaries in Costa Rica, Kenya, and Uganda. And these are just people that I've met over the years. And they are doing ministry. Some of them are leading feeding programs. Some of them are evangelizing in schools. Some of them are visiting prisoners and just watching life change happen in the prison. So when they come out, they're ready to be followers of Jesus outside the walls of the prison. So many cool things that I could not do on my own, but we're finding those people, we're vetting them, and then we're walking out the process to disciple them into missions even further. But honestly, I'm learning more in missions from them than I'm able to give to them right now because they're just being transformative in their communities.
So basically, by finding somebody who's already local, embedded in the community, it's also very cost effective. And you can get more done. So it's like, I guess, like a business. You're leveraging people to get the mission done, to get the word out, and it's cost effective. I guess exponentially, it could help grow things faster. And because people who are embedded in those missionaries, they're already, like I said, they're local. They're embedded in the community. People know them. So when they start, those other people there already have the know, like, and trust factor of those missionaries since they live there. And I imagine things move a little quicker.
Yeah, exactly. And some of these men and women that we're taking on as local missionaries, they're just following the heart and the passion that God's put in their life. It may seem like a small calling. I'm going to start feeding kids on a Saturday. Now we have Rocio in Costa Rica. She's feeding 80 to 100 kids every Saturday while holding down her full-time job. That's just her Saturday thing. And we're just empowering and encouraging her to keep going, even spreading deeper. Right now, she's connected those kids to people at a local church. So we just recently, they had a baptism where 4 of them were baptized. And it all stemmed from them coming to get food, nourishing their physical bodies, and then watching the spiritual follow.
And speaking of feeding kids on Saturdays, just so our viewers know, you and I went to Kenya last September,
Yes.
right? And Joe was already doing that. And he was stretched thin, with his job, trying to make a living,
Right.
and everything he did on Saturdays in the inner city. And he's one now, and he's gotten a little bit of funding and everything, which goes a long way over there, and which has actually helped him free up some time so he doesn't have to do that. And now he can get more done too.
Yeah, Joe is serving with a nonprofit on a Saturday. They were just empowering him to feed the kids, but he saw something deeper that was missing. He saw, yes, I can feed the kids every Saturday, but I'm not helping getting these single moms they're taking care of these kids that come to his program. he's not doing anything to help get them out of poverty. So he was not teaching them how to
Right.
fish. He was just giving them a fish.
And, the viewers, you're probably seeing some images pop up on the screen when we start talking about Joe, because those are images that I took while we were over there. And the one that's going to be up there, like right now, that young man was, I guess, mentored by Joe. And he was...
I was so amazed by this guy.
How old was he? How old
I'm guessing he was 10 or 11.
And 10 or 15 minutes, he was sitting there preaching the word to all these other kids. And that guy still sticks with me.
Yeah,
I can't wait to go back.
When I think of children like that Joe is raising up, I think this is worth it. If we can invest in Joe, who's raising up the next generation, then the sky's the limit. I remember he asked me one day, he's like, Nate, let's go to the store. We had to go buy some things for the team and some items we were distributing to the community. And I started asking him, this is kind of where a lot of Go Send Global birthed from, because initially the idea was, how do we send missionaries out of these countries to other countries? And he said, local farming. And I said, Joe, I don't know what local farming means. Explain this to me. And I've heard of goat projects and different things. He said, that's what exactly it is. He's like, if we can get a mother to learn how to farm chickens every 30 days, they are reproducing 20 to 30 eggs. All of a sudden, she has a business. So he's actually working with the government in Kenya to find ways to sell the eggs back to the government. So there all becomes a sustainable mission. Now, some of those eggs, she can let them hatch. They can turn into, more breeding hens for his ministry. And that's his concept of getting people out of poverty and out of one of the largest slums in the world in Nairobi.
Yes. And interestingly enough, since he's already there and embedded, he already had a lot of the contacts to where if it was you or I going in there, them not knowing us, being Americans and everything, there would probably be a lot of resistance, and the red tape and the wheels would have turned much slower.
Yeah, and he's building off of past experience. He was working with the church doing something like this before and saw huge success, but God just called him out of that ministry. So now he's pulling back into the his toolbox to see what he can do to help these children not just get fed on a Saturday now, but every single day be living a better life because of possibly chicken farming.
And you met him through the Kenya trip. Now, you already had some contacts in Costa Rica because you lived there for quite a while, right?
Yeah, I lived in Costa Rica for 3 years, and that was an amazing experience too. We worked with churches and pastors with another nonprofit I worked for. Was totally incredible experience, and that's where I met two of the ladies that we've taken on as some of our first local missionaries. And Rosia was one of the first ladies that I met in Costa Rica on a mission trip, and she just had a heart for her community unlike any other. And she started feeding kids on a Saturday, just out of the front garage of her house. Just a one-car garage you pull in. She would put up a table and feed the kids there. And that has now grown. She still has a job. She works at a school, but her Saturdays are devoted to these children, so much so that her house really now is a feeding center. She might need a new house because there's so many kids coming. Her backyard has been renovated to be able to house up to 100 kids. It's crammed, but she is doing it every single Saturday.
So we've given some examples of people who were already there that had some things going, but there's one more that I want to talk about, and that is the gentleman that is, and his name escapes me right now,
Philip,
that already has so much going on that he's doing on his own, asked for no money locally, and now we're able to help him. Could you tell his story real quick?
Yeah, I met Philip a couple years back just doing some video calls. So every once in a while we would have a video call for pastors that were English speaking in Africa. And so we could open up to a whole range of people, but all I know is English and a little bit of Spanish, but that gets me in trouble. So we would host a video call and this man, Philip, would get on. And, from a lot of people, there's a kind of stigma that if someone asks for money, it's corrupt. It's not good. We've been able to vet our people, and we can talk about that more. But Philip just appeared and would participate in the virtual calls we had every month or every so often. But I was impressed because he never asked for anything. Never asked for anything. At the end of the year, he always gave me like a 10-page report. And in this report is all the stats of everything they've done now. Philip started as a pastor. Well, actually, he started as working for the government for immigration, for taxing goods and services that came into the country. Had a great job, and the Lord called him into ministry. So he just sat down with his family and said, all right, wife and 3 boys, I'm not going to take a salary anymore. I'm going into full-time ministry. Just totally trusting the Lord. He stepped in and was pastoring, ended up having 8 churches now. Now, of those 8 churches that he runs some and oversees the others, he takes no income whatsoever. So imagine that. You're just pouring your life out. Totally different than here in the United States, where most pastors are paid by the church through the tithes and offerings. There, they take their tithe and their offering and they give it back to the community. So last year, they raised maybe $10,000.
Which over there is a lot of money.
That's a huge amount of money. And he said 95% of that came from inside of Uganda. So we're not talking about American support.
Right.
We're just talking about people inside the country, friends, family, businesses supporting, and the people giving their tithe and offering on a Saturday. Interesting enough, he doesn't take a salary from the church because he wants the churches to grow and he wants there to be zero corruption.
So it's almost like, any business that takes profits and invests it back in.
Right.
Because, sometimes asking for money is a hard thing.
Yeah.
But, money funds the mission. And, it's just, I guess it's how you view money. And speaking of which, we can go into this in another episode, but, y'all have meetings once or twice a month. He was sending you these reports before he was even working with you.
Right. He was just letting me know what was going on.
So that being said, when we're not physically able to be over there is accountability that they have, things they need to report on to ensure that the money's being used right and there's processes in place.
Yeah, for sure. The accountability piece is a monthly video call we have. Also personal call, because we're discipling missionaries. Like I said, I'm learning from them right now.
Right.
As we're getting this really launched, but it was incredible when I heard his story just from reading the report. Even a few years back, I said, "How in the world do you do this?" And he said, "I've built a team of young people, and they go out and they're all over Uganda. They were in over 300 schools last year, and I think 20 or 30 prisons last year, all on $10,000 that they raised from basically inside of Uganda. And through that, they reached thousands and thousands of people. And I'm amazed. Every time I see the pictures and videos, I just want to cry because I'm like, this man is doing it without us. So some people might say, well, why does he need to be a local missionary through Go Send Global? Well, right now, he is totally living by faith. His wife had a job in HR, a good job. They both did. But she lost that job, and now he's still doing it. Still has not asked me for one penny. And I'm like, that's the kind of people I want to invest in, that are out there living by faith. So his needs, I asked him, like, what do you need to survive? And he said, for me, with my kids, putting them in school, doing ministry at the, we would live a good life if we made $750 a month.
USD.
US dollars, $750 a month. And that's with a large family.
Yeah.
And I was like, right now, where does that come from? And he never, ever answers my question. That's where I get frustrated, because he doesn't know, because it's all the Lord.
Right.
The Lord just provides. People offer him things, give him things. And he tried some side businesses, but those weren't effective because it was taken away from his calling, his God-given calling to do ministry full time. So $750 can get this guy totally, I wouldn't say stress-free, but imagine if your bills are just paid for the month and it's coming in. What relief that gives to you, for you to be able to do the ministry. What an encouragement is to those 3 young boys he's raising.
Well, and people may ask in situations like his, well, if he's doing so good, why does he need money? Well, like any business or anything else, you're only one person. You can only do so much, and then you plateau. And then, God forbid, you start seeing diminishing returns, and we don't want that. So the extra little boost, if he's already doing good, well, then he's proven.
Right.
And so, hey, how can we help him take it to the next level? I think that's the way it needs to be viewed.
Right. And I even thought in my mind, why would I step in? If he's reaching 100,000 people in a year with his team taking in no income, why would I intervene with what God's doing? And then the same thought, I was like, why wouldn't I intervene to help him go even farther, to develop more teams? He even travels outside of his country. To other countries. He went to 2 different countries, which I can't recall at this time.
And sometimes that can be a little sketchy over there, depending.
Yeah.
So he's,
traveling outside to different borders is always a risky thing, but this man's doing it. And I think of him reaching 100,000 people last year, to Cleddy, who is ministering to pastors one-on-one, doing marriage counseling. We have such a diverse group just among our 5 missionaries that we're starting with, of people that are doing amazing numbers of people that they're reaching, to caring for the one kid or the one pastor and wife that they'll stay in ministry and keep going. I love the diversity of what local missionaries can offer.
All right, well, Nate, that about wraps up this episode. Real quick, if you could tell the viewers where they can find Go Send Global if they want to donate, and basically what they would need to do if they'd like to be a part.
Yeah, if you want to be part of Go Send Global, you can support one of our local missionaries by going to gosendglobal.org. You can see all the missionaries listed there. Pick one that you want to invest in. We love monthly giving because that creates sustainability. But if there's just a one-time gift you want to make, you can do it at the same page.
All right, sounds good. And guys, thank you for watching. Stay tuned in episode 2, where we go into more depth and detail on the Go Send Global difference.